Mrs. Davis. This is Mr. Herman. How about that house? Weren't you coming over to sign the papers and make a deposit?
Well, I was 80% certain I was. But I've been waiting to hear from my husband. I haven't heard from him all day. I'll tell you what, Mr. Herman. I'll give him a ring and be back to you soon.
But honey, I expected to hear from Mrs. Ace and she hasn't called me. She told me it was 70% certain.
Well, Mr. Herman is calling me like mad, John.
I'll call Mrs. Ace and find out what goes on. See you later, honey.
But Mr. Davis, I've been waiting all afternoon to hear from my husband. He said it was 60% certain, but he hasn't called. I've been sitting at this phone till I'm black and blue. I even took 4 showers.
4 showers?
The phone always rings when I'm in the shower.
And he hasn't called you? Mrs. Ace, don't kid me. Are you sure your husband didn't say no? Now come clean.
Come clean? Mr. Davis, I told you about the 4 showers. I'm gonna call up Mr. Ace and see what's going on or not.
This puts Jane in a pretty tough spot. So Jane gets an idea. She decides to sew her initials into the coat. If she takes this initial piece of action, the rest of the pieces will fall into place. So, the next day,
Get thee behind me, Satin. I'm going to get that big coat. By hook or by ladder, I'm going to do it.
Hello, Davis Firm.
Hello, Mrs. Ace. This is Mr. Davis.
Who?
Davis. D-A-V, I mean, A-C-E, Davis, I mean Jane Ace.
Oh, yes, Mrs. Ace. I'm glad to hear from you.
Just fine. It's about those initials, Mr. Davis. I'll take the coat.
Initials?
J-A, in the lining. Will you put the initials in?
Oh, then your husband said it was all right?
We'll cross him when we come to it.
That's why I'm glad you called. I appreciate it. My wife appreciates it. In fact, I'll phone her now.
John, dear, is it really true?
It sure is, honey.
I'll call Mr. Herman right away.
Well, Mrs. Davis, I'm very happy for you.
Isn't it wonderful?
And I'll attend to the paint job right away.
Yes, sir, Mr. Herman. This is Mr. Crown.
That order for the paint, it's official now.
Thank you. I've got a call to make myself.
Yes, this is Ace.
Good news, Ace. I just confirmed that advertising. It's all definite now.
Oh, that's terrific. Perhaps I can drop by your office first thing in the morning with some ideas for you.
Don't forget that one coat paint.
Oh, yes, that one coat. I mustn't forget that one coat especially. Well, goodbye, Mr. Crown.
Hello, dear.
Why, hello, Jane. What are you doing downtown at the office?
Dear, I've done the most terrible thing I ever did in all the years we've been married and 10 months.
What did you...
But first, I want you to know how terrible I feel about it, and I'm gonna cancel it.
What did you...
And I also want you to know I did it of my own violation. I should have known better.
What did you...
You know me, when I get the urge to do something, I become completely uninhabited.
What did
But
you...
I realize now I could never wear it with a clear conscience, no matter how cold it gets.
do?
So I'm going to cancel the whole thing this minute. May I use your phone?
No. Wait a minute. What did you do? Did you order that big coat without even waiting to find out if my deal went through?
In other words, yes.
What other words?
But don't worry, dear, I'm going to cancel it. Of course, I may have to pay the initial cost.
The initial cost?
I told him to put my initials in it.
Oh,
But there's still time to cancel it, and no sooner said the better.
well, Jane, look. You don't have to cancel it. I just put over the deal as you came in. So now you can get that coat with a clear conscience.
No, dear, that's very sweet, but it's too late. I already did the damage, and this is going to be a lesson to me. A wife must always take the bitter with the better, I always say.
Yes, you do always say.
I'm gonna teach thee a lesson if it's the last thing I do. This hurts me more than it does you, but I'm calling him right now.
That's the way you feel about it.
Davis first.
Hello, Mr. Davis. You know that big coat I was looking at?
Yes.
Well, I'm not looking at it anymore. Cancel it.
Oh, this is terrible. Goodbye, Mrs. Ace. I've got to call my wife.
Oh, no, you can't do that, John.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mary, but that woman just canceled the coat. It's off. Call Herman and call off the house.
But Mrs. Davis, you can't call it off now. I thought I had the whole house sold to you.
And I thought my husband had a mink coat sold, and the customer just canceled it.
And now you're canceling the house. Oh, brother, I've got some canceling to do myself.
What do you mean you don't want the paint?
Sorry, but that's the way it is.
Well, why? I thought you said we had that last sold house to Mrs. Davis.
I thought I had it sold to her, just like Mrs. Davis thought Mr. Davis had sold a mink coat to another woman who just called up and canceled the coat.
This whole thing depended on somebody's big coat.
That's right. That's why I'm canceling the paint job.
Which reminds me, I got some canceling to do myself.
Well, maybe you're right, Jane. Maybe it is a lesson to you, and well, maybe it's best at that. Excuse me. Hello?
Ace, this is Crown again.
Yes, sir.
The ad campaign is off. Finished. Canceled.
Cancel? What's the matter? What happened?
You wouldn't believe it if I told you. Just cancel it. I can hardly believe it myself.
Believe what? Why did you cancel? What's the reason?
Mink coat.
What?
See, I told you you wouldn't believe it.
I guess I will. I just didn't understand you. It sounded as if you said mink coat. So what did you say?
Mink coat.
You did say mink coat.
I did. Mink coat, mink coat, mink coat. There, I said it
But
again.
what's it got to do with our advertising campaign?
Oh, you asked for it. Some lunkhead promised his wife a mink coat. He backed out, and he didn't buy it for his wife. So the woman's husband, who sells the mink coats for his wife, canceled the house they were going to buy, and the man who was going to sell the house called me, canceling a paint order. So I'm calling you to cancel the ad campaign.
You mean it all depended on
There's no use talking to me about it now. It all goes back to Mr. Davis. If Mr. Davis's fur shop sells the mink coat, then we can talk
But
business.
I don't see how I can talk to a furrier named Hold the phone 1 minute. Jane?
Yes?
Jane? Did I hear you call Mr. Davis just now to cancel that mink coat?
Yes. And it's going to be a lesson to me.
And to me. Oh, Jane, you almost ruined the whole big advertising campaign for me.
Me? For you? Me? For you?
Me for you and T for two.
I didn't have anything to do with your advertising campaign.
I know, and you still ruined it. It's a gift you have.
Well, thanks, dear, but I won't take the coat.
Oh, you will take it.
I won't.
Yes, you will, Jane. I insist you buy that mink coat.
Look, this is an argument I never would have believed with my own ears.
You're gonna buy that coat right now, understand?
And now you're just being mean. You're stubborn. You're cruel. All men are beasts.
Are you still there, Mr. Crown? Good. Hey, Mr. Crown, it's gonna be okay. That lunkhead you mentioned, he just bought that mink coat for his wife.